Came, here I sit, broken-hearted, came to Schult, only farted. Wise words. And beyond that, your capacity to have compassion is equal to your compassion, or your capacity to have pain.
No, that's not right.
So what is it? You said it well this morning.
Yeah, I don't remember it.
Well, basically, Allie was listening to this podcast, and
it was about compassion and how to gain compassion. And essentially, they said the key to compassion is suffering.
Yes.
You have to suffer in order to know compassion, because you know what that person is. It's like empathy. Yeah.
I think suffering's the closest. It's the fastest road, straightest line to empathy for sure. And I'm sorry for all the suffering I put you through. But hey, you're gonna be nicer. Oh, what a day! It's January 1st, 6:09 p.m. on Friday, and we are at the community park, it's pretty cool. 2021. Old habits are out the window. New habits are just beginning.
We're still fucking hiking.
Oh yeah, that's not what I thought you were gonna say.
Life trajectory-wise, nothing's changed.
Nope.
But yeah, I would say today was the worst day so far, and it's only day 3.
Yeah, we got burnt to fuck. Sorry, Mom and Dad.
We got fried in the sun.
We did the 7-mile bridge today, and I didn't realize it. This is one of the things I like about long adventures, because you realize things that aren't necessarily common knowledge, because you're going at such a slower pace. Like, who would have known that a static sun being on your same parts of your leg for 2 hours. It took us 2 hours to go across the 7-mile bridge. I timed it. It was over 2 hours.
2 hours?
It was over 2 hours.
7 miles?
Well, we when we got over the bridge, and we will go chronologically in a minute, but the bridge was definitely the high/low light. But we got.
Children won't record us.
No. We just got terribly burnt, both of us, on just very specific parts of our leg, like the I guess the east side of our body. If you're going north,
it's not as much burnt for me too. It's heat rash as well. So my legs are just destroyed.
They're sad.
They're so red and puffy, and a terrible rash like I've never had before. Very painful.
Yeah.
Very discouraging.
Yeah.
I'm in low spirits today.
And my heart breaks for you. Yeah, I mean...
What's new?
Yeah, that's true.
But
I
maybe,
mean, that's
honestly,
how you deal with
it. Blame me?
I don't blame you.
Look at what we're fucking doing. Look at...
Yeah.
We're surrounded by all of these people having the time of their lives on vacation at the Florida Keys, driving their nice cars around with air conditioning.
G-Wagon, oh!
And here we are just walking along the fucking burning road in the trash. The literal things that people throw out their windows. We're literally walking through, like, everything that is discarded. Which has turned out to a positive point in some degree.
Well, that's actually...
AKA hats.
Oh, yeah. Okay. So there's a lot of stuff to cover.
Yeah, we should just go chronologically.
Yeah, I want to make one more point.
Yeah.
And it's a verse...
The 7-mile bridge?
No, it's a verse of the Tao. Like, someone who is following the Tao is like water, because water it goes to the lowest point. And it finds the path of least resistance, aka the middle way, aka the Tao. The Tao is the middle way. And I think going back to the thing about how suffering and compassion are linked experientially, man, am I losing the thread a little bit? Well, okay, so I think that walking is like, we are subject to all of the trash. We are like water right now, and that's the thing that I like. I was very turned on by the Tao in college, and when I was dating Brittany, I remember it was a big shout out to Brittany. I remember so I was in a dorm at Georgia State, and I had an iPod video, and the only reason I bought it was so that I could watch this Japanese drama called 1 Liter of Tears, and I was so frustrated with my inner turmoil with being in this relationship but still feeling like a practitioner of the Tao, So I went into the stairwell of my university, and I dropped my iPad from the 5th floor, or my iPod, all the way down to the bottom. Like, if you go, you know how you go into a stairwell, and you can, like, look over the stairwell, and you can see all the way to the bottom, and it's like a weird crisscross of pipes and shit.
Classic horror movie scene.
Yeah, I dropped it all the way to the bottom, because I was like, I don't know. It was a cathartic gesture to the universe, because I just felt like I couldn't do what I wanted to do because of who I was with. Sound familiar? Yeah, so the Tao, walking like this is a exercise in suffering, and that's why I enjoy it, because I look at all these people who are not suffering, and it turns me on, because I feel activated doing this kind of stuff.
What do you gain from that, though? Is it a sense of identity? Is it a point of pride? Is it like the fact that you can, like, poke fun at the people that are taking the easy way out? Like, what do you get from the act of suffering, be it biking or hiking or anything that puts you in a lower position than the people around you?
Well, it's humbling as a straight white male.
Yeah. And you want that? You don't want to be comfortable?
No, I don't want to be comfortable. I think that's been evident since we met each other.
Yeah.
I mean, I'm always up for anything. I walked an extra, almost 3...
Probably
2...
3 or 4?
No, it was like 2 or 3 maybe, to go to Publix, and did it. Well, when I went to get your hat, your visor, and we will go chronologically, I promise. I got you a visor from one of those T-shirt places, the 4 T-shirts for $10 or whatever. And there was a long line, not unnecessarily long. Like, it was just like some people in the front, and like this mom was like, "Do you think that bathing suit looked good on me?" And all the kids were like, "Yeah." And the cashier was like, "Well, they already bought it, so I hope it did." So that took a while, and then I had to walk to the Publix and got the shit that we needed. It took me forever. The sunscreen aisle was its own aisle. It was like an end cap, and I couldn't find it for the first part. And I also felt like I wanted to poop, but as I told Allie, it seemed like every single person in Publix in the male restroom.
The same feeling.
Yeah, and some dumbass was in the stall listening to his music, and some guy came in while I was waiting for the bathroom stall to open up, and he was like, "Are you in line for that?" And I was like, "Yeah, but I'm going to give up." And I just walked out. I did have a shot.
Do you still have to poop?
Oh, it's buried. It's better if it's more complete of a bowel movement anyway. The longer I wait, the better it'll be. Yeah, I kind of doubt it. I think there's probably some person who will come and lock everything up at around 9 o'clock, yeah.
Which will be our biggest threat, in which case we have no plan B, so maybe they'll let us stay in their house.
If you need some plan B, I'll go back to Publix and buy some. But anyway, so that was something that needed to be said. And going chronologically now, we woke up at the deer refuge this morning.
Which was such a sweet spot.
Yeah, it was great.
Yeah, we were not disturbed. It was New Year's Eve, but didn't really have any fireworks or gunshots or anything too crazy. We went to bed by like 7:30 or 8.
It was like 8:30,
and
but
slept through the night.
Uh-huh.
Not necessarily.
You
but
immediately passed out.
we
and
laid
I was
in
up.
bed through the night.
I woke
up a lot. I didn't.
But you stayed on the same side all night. You were facing to your right, and
well, I might have switched when you were asleep, because I definitely did.
I'm sure you did, but
it was kind of cool too, because we got to see the moon arc all the way across the sky.
That was kind of
Every
cool.
time you woke up, it was like, oh,
a little
the
bit
moon's
higher
in a different place.
Yeah, and it was very bright, and so it was kind of a little bit, made it hard to sleep, kind of, for me. I put my buff over my head so that my eyes would not be
Classic
fooked.
Ordway move.
Yeah, for sure. But yeah, we were both feeling pretty good this morning. God, I'm getting like, the wind makes the sunburn feel weird. I should put my pants back on.
You should elevate your feet too.
Yeah.
If they're sore. This is nice.
I have a pretty big blister on my pinky toe on my right foot, which I could feel developing all day, but it's not that bad. I can still walk and run on it. So.
You can walk through anything, technically.
Yeah, that's true. Maybe not a fractured foot. But I mean, you could. That would
If
be
you have a boost of adrenaline.
yeah, for hours. But yeah, we started. We didn't go to any gas station. Well, our first break today was at like noon. Basically, we stopped at some gas station, a Chevron on
Right
Baha'i Honda Key. Yeah, right before the start of the 7 Mile Bridge. Which, man, again, that's a lesson I won't soon forget. Where if you're walking and you're going to be exposed, I didn't really put it together that we would. Yeah, you should definitely wear pants. I just didn't even really think about it, which was definitely a learning lesson. And I found an iPhone. So I found an iPhone, and you just walked right by it. And that was another thing that made me.
Was it in the case?
No, it was in. It was an iPhone.
I saw a case, but I didn't.
I saw the case once we crossed over.
Huh.
But the iPhone, you walked right past, and you were walking fast, and I knew you were mad.
It was terrible.
Yeah.
Worst 7 miles of quote-unquote hiking that I've ever done.
And
non-stop traffic.
You get self-destructive when that stuff happens. You're like, you don't care.
It makes me have a fucking existential crisis. I'm like, what am I doing in my life? And like, what am I going to do to feel happy? Because I definitely don't right now.
That's the best
part. So what can
part.
I do to change it?
Yeah, you look forward to the beers and vapes and dinners that you're going to have later that night. And
that's not enough, though. Like, you
for me,
don't have to go through that suffering to get that. It's available to you at any point, and that's the beauty of the 21st century. Love it or hate it.
I think that's
people
the
are fucking lazy.
Yeah,
and they get what they want when they want it. And subjecting yourself to prolonged pain and suffering, is it worth it? That's the question that I'm going through.
And this girl somehow managed to hike the Appalachian Trail, the long trail, and...
That was my passion at the time.
Yeah.
I had no choice but to hike it. I don't think that my athletic achievements define me. They did at one point, but I see that changing now. And I'm like, well, what else is there besides this thing that I already know and I already have felt the pain from and I don't really like anymore?
Yeah, which is all fair.
I
don't hold that against you at all.
Yeah, I'm still growing up. I don't know what I'm going to do in my life, and I don't know how I'm going to... I don't care about prestige, and I don't care about money, I don't care about all of these things that so many people are preoccupied with, but I care about, like, feeling happy, at least, and satisfied and healthy, and today I did not feel any of those things.
Even now?
So, well, it's fine.
Yeah,
I have this rising system that we might not be even staying here tonight, so...
Yeah, I can see us being disturbed here. It's going to be a stealth maneuver tonight for sure.
Yeah. But the first, I don't even know, 9 miles of the day were uneventful.
Yeah,
good
just
enough.
Walking. Yeah, no real sunburn, just, what we've come to expect, which is like periods of being in the sun and then periods of not, and
also periods of having a pedestrian sidewalk versus not.
Yeah.
And honestly, I don't know why, but I have not felt any sense of fear with the drivers around us and the cars, even on the bridge. And like, we went to a thrift shop at some point and the lady was like, oh, people are really terrible to pedestrians around here. And I was like, oh, we know. But I really don't feel afraid. I don't know if the bike ride has helped me grow from that or if I'm just so self-concerned with my own pain and suffering that I don't have time to think about it. But that is an upside, that I'm not worried about traffic, because we are on the road all the time and there is traffic all the time.
The only thing I'm worried about is like what happened with your dad, where he was like not paying attention for a split second and then people started braking in front of him and he had to pull into the shoulder that we would be walking on.
Right, yeah.
And there wasn't any traffic like what there was that day that we've seen so far. And I should say, on the 7 Mile Bridge, I lost my hat.
Yeah, that was a notable experience.
Yeah, last night I bought a $20 rear view mirror from a bike shop.
Oh, there's a dog.
Wild?
It's just running around.
Lol.
Come to me. Be my friend. We spotted a dog.
Yeah, you already said that. But yeah, so I had that mirror on my hat, and the wind on the 7 Mile Bridge blew my hat off into the ocean. And if we had been on the other side of the bridge,
we literally watched it float down to the water. And then you were like, I could get it.
I was joking.
like, how? I definitely would not put it past you to jump off the bridge into the water to save your hat.
No.
Like 3 miles into a 7-mile bridge where there was no place of dry land.
I would not have been able to get back out. And if I had a fishing pole, I would have certainly tried to get it. And I probably could have.
But it was so windy. There's no way.
No. And so it was gone. You know, I hate to litter, but nature littered itself today. So fuck nature. It doesn't even have any consciousness of what's best for it. So my hat got stolen, and then you found another hat that, like very shortly
after.
after.
Like a quarter mile.
Yeah.
Yeah, which the trail provides.
It does provide. It gives you the bare minimum of what you need to keep going.
So you got a really ugly hat.
It's fine. It's a Billabong.
I have that other one if you want it.
I think you threw it away.
No, I have it. The Supreme.
Oh, that one I don't think would work very well either because the clasp was broken on it.
Right.
But the one I have now is fine. I don't really care. I wasn't emotionally connected to that hat. It was just the one that I kept wearing, so whatever. And so found that iPhone, got to the other side of the 7-mile bridge after over 2 hours of walking. Just not much over 2 hours, but we were going probably 3.5 miles an hour. And I definitely wanted to take a couple more breaks, and I could tell, because you were behind me at first, that you were like not happy because when I would like stop or look at something, you would like kind of push me on. And I was like, I don't like that. I don't like you pushing me to keep going. Like, this is fine. I can look at something and not worry about it. But anyway,
I feel like being on the bridges, especially the 7-mile bridge, has a very similar feeling of being lost at sea.
Lol.
As in, there are no options.
There were
for
no
anything.
pull-offs.
Obviously being lost at sea is a lot worse, and
Absolutely.
there's not cars driving by that you could desperately hitch if there was an emergency or anything, but it's the same feeling of just like complete isolation. Like, you need to get through based on your own willpower, and you need to keep moving or else you're not gonna get to what you need.
Mm-hmm. Yeah,
which has been what this whole thing has been so far. Even though there's provisions for us every single key we get to. Yeah,
we kind of have to keep going, otherwise we will get stuck somewhere, like you're saying. Going back to the phone, it was interesting because it was actually a Japanese person's phone who was down. At some point, I got a message on it. I kept it in my hand for a long time because I figured I got all these notifications on the phone saying that someone was trying to access the Apple ID account. And so I figured they were trying to figure out where it was. And so at some point it said that like I could call something. Not initially. I tried to go through like the emergency mode like we did with the one with Compton and I found. Yeah. But there was nothing there. And then at some point it gave me an option to call. And so I did. And this Japanese woman picked up. And I talked to her husband a little bit. And I was able to figure out a place where I could drop it off for him. And this was all while you were kind of having a freak out moment. And
I wasn't the whole time.
No,
I
but
mean, 2 hours. You can't cry for 2 hours.
No, but once we got off, the tears.
Yeah, once we got off, well, I could tell that I was getting super burned and irritated skin-wise. Like,
as soon as I got behind you, I was like, your legs.
Maybe like
really
4
bad.
miles into the bridge. I was like, damn, there's no respite from the sun. There's no other option. We did cross over at one point, and there was a tiny bit of shade from the barrier on one side.
As you moved, though, your legs still got hit by the sun.
Yeah. And it's insane. Like,
it's not even, it's winter.
I know, and this is nice weather for beach people. This is like what
degrees.
people want when they come down here to vacation. When we were in the Keys, it was cold. With my family on vacation, it was like maybe high 60s.
Yeah.
But
cold
really windy.
Yeah.
And we weren't sweating or doing anything athletic, but it's insane. The sun is a monster.
Yellow Hitler.
Yeah.
Dan Harmon calls it. But yeah.
So we got to the end, and there was like a resort, and we stopped in the shade for a while, and I expressed all of my concerns and feelings, because that's what you want.
Yeah,
but you're not always satisfied with what you hear.
That's not true. That's your perception of it.
I feel like it just...
I have so much
makes
compassion.
You grow in disdain to my
That's how
situation.
you feel about it. That's not true.
It just confirms that, like, I'm not gonna make it.
Well, I mean, I still... If that were true, I don't think I'd have got you any gifts when I went out.
Well, that's because you love me.
Yeah, so I don't think
and
we need
have
to worry.
History
Yeah.
and chemistry.
I would have done that for anybody,
Yeah.
which doesn't really...
Because you're a nice person, and that's good.
I'm very compassionate.
Yeah.
But yeah, Allie bought some pants at a thrift store that she's wearing now, and I put on my leggings so that I would stop being assaulted by
and
the
at
sun.
that point, we only had like 3 miles left,
Not
so
even.
the damage was already done.
Yeah,
But we were like, well, this will help us for the end of the day.
Yeah, and it did.
And it did. It really did. Yeah.
I'm wearing pants tomorrow for sure. I don't care how hot it is.
Yeah. My pants are a wonder.
Yeah,
They're so ugly.
You got the tackies going on.
But they're super lightweight. This is what I wanted.
Some paisley pants.
Yeah.
Ugh.
They match really well with my tropical shirt.
Yeah, for sure.
I look like a crazy homeless person now.
Well,
which I guess
with style.
is fine.
Yeah. So yeah, we got to this park, and Allie sat on the bench for about an hour plus while I went
At least, yeah.
and walked to get your visor, and then I went to Publix, as we said, and went to a liquor store, and went to a gas station, and came back here. A pretty good day overall.
Yeah, I guess we did like...
You did 19.3.
19. Yeah.
I did like 22 point something.
Yeah.
Roasted. More compassion
well, good
for me.
for you.
Yeah, I knew that.
I'm not envious in any way.
Yeah, I knew that was going to be a solo trip, but I like those. So, I like tasks. So,
Yeah.
going and
You should
getting
be a
shit.
homesteader.
All right, I might one day when my health
No, you
starts to fail
won't.
me a bit. But yeah, as you can hear, there's some children here. It's a nice breezy evening. It's cool. The sun is down. We'll have to start making dinner soon and
Yeah, I'm
doing all
looking
that stuff.
right in there. I don't think there's a gate or anything, but it's kind of blocked from the wind.
Yeah.
I think that would be a good spot, at least when 9 o'clock comes and the security comes.
Yeah.
If there is any. Also, maybe
It's
not.
New Year's
but
Day, so there's a good chance that we might be.
Yeah.
We might actually be able to sleep well. We're going to cowboy camp in a dugout of a baseball field, and.
But it's a good park.
Yeah,
It's
it is a
big.
good park. We would have been stoked on the bike ride for this.
Yeah.
It's got lots of options: bathroom, water fill-up stations,
Yeah.
and we'll get up at 7 tomorrow and continue with pants on for sure.
Yeah.
Not really sure what tomorrow is going to look like in terms of mileage, but we're 57 miles away from Key Largo, which is the last key before you take the one over to the mainland of Florida. So, 2 days, 2.5 days, something like that.
Yeah.
We'll probably have a big day the day after tomorrow to get to the mainland. I don't think we'd want to stay in Key Largo, but we
No.
might, depending on time and all that stuff.
Yeah.
But yeah, we'll be looking for an Airbnb in Homestead or Florida City with laundry and stuff, because all my stuff is so gross. I think I'm just gonna sit around naked for a while because I can't not wash everything almost.
Yeah. It's so humid and
Yeah.
hot.
Yeah.
And I mean, it's in the high 70s, so it's really nice beach weather.
Yeah.
But for us, exposed to the sun, it's just brutal.
Yeah, for like
And
8
it's
hours
like-
a day.
Sweating, but it's not really like dripping at all. It just kind of, you sweat and it clings onto your body and just makes all of your clothes gross. And then you just feel gross. And
It's awesome.
no, it's bad. It feels bad.
Yeah, it's amazing how fucked up my body feels, considering we're not having any elevation, pretty much.
Well, I'm glad you at least feel the pain.
Oh yeah, I definitely feel the pain. I mean, I'm
You
sunburned.
just don't
I
let
have
it drag
blisters.
you down.
I kind of revel in it a little bit. It's I don't know. It's I mean, it's not unexpected. I mean, nothing about, like you're saying, this is like taking the hardest road possible to do this. It's like one step above crawling on the ground like a worm in the sun, waiting for it to fry you to oblivion. It's lucky, we're lucky.
And you know
that
what happens with worms in the sun?
They die.
They fucking die. And that's what I feel like is going to happen in my future. just gonna die on the side of the road. Not really, but
Well, don't let your mom hear that. I have an expatriation clause in my health insurance, my travel insurance, so they will at least take my head back to my family. But yeah, I don't know. I mean, ideally, I really like the idea of us getting to Springer and then being done there. Like, we could walk down to Emekalola, and I would like to get a tag just to have one, and then just do something else after that.
Yeah.
The Southern Tier is appealing to me, but I don't know if you'd want to do that.
If you think about it, though, the Southern Tier obviously is all in the south, and we probably won't be to Springer until
February,
at least
March.
I would say late March or April.
You think?
The Florida Trail is 1,100 miles.
Yeah.
And the Alabama Roadwalk is 200. The Pinhoti is 200. The Benton MacKaye is 60.
Yeah. I think the Pinhoti is actually like 324 or something like that.
If anything, late March, early April at the earliest, I would say.
That would be even better to start the Southern Tier 4 then. It'd be late
Really?
spring. Yeah.
Late spring moving into summer?
Yeah.
That's when the temperatures are right. There are so many other routes, too. If that's something that we're considering, I would maybe think about other options at that point, but we'll see up until that point.
We're going to get a lot stronger and fit for this type of activity by that point.
That's the thing, too. I feel like we're super soft to backpacking because we haven't done anything long distance in a year and a half at least. All of our foot calluses are gone. Our leg muscles are weak.
Well, but the weird thing is
our hips are weak.
Yeah, but the Foothills Trail and the Bartram, neither one of those taxed my body as much as this has so far.
No.
Like you're saying, the impact of like walking on hard cement, even though it is flat, I think the flatness actually works to your disadvantage because it's the same type of impact over and over and over. There's no variability. So you're not using different parts of your muscles, you're not using different parts of your feet.
Right.
Like it's just the same thing over and over, just squishing down.
Yeah.
And fucking up, and like the thing I learned about on the AT was compensatory injuries, where you're compensating for one injury and it ends up injuring something else because you have to walk weird to not walk on your blisters. And that's the point where I'm at with my right foot, because I have a blister over maybe, I don't know, 30% of my pinky toe, maybe 50%, I don't know, a lot of it. And so I have to walk primarily on my big toe and my middle toe, which my middle toe also is like constantly pushing into my shoe because it's so long. So I'm going to definitely lose both toenails on my middle toes, and that's usually what happens. But it's weird that a flat hike would be more problematic than a hilly one.
So easy.
Yeah, I mean, in a way it is.
30 miles a day, no problem.
Yeah.
It's on roads, it's flat. It's
Yeah.
Florida. Lies. Just like they tell you Virginia is flat, which is not true. They say Florida is easy because it's flat. Not true.
Yeah. But I mean, like, well, I don't remember what I was going to say, but
Doesn't matter.
yeah, it definitely doesn't matter. We haven't been able to swim in the ocean yet.
No.
So we're still...
But also, I don't even know how much that would help us, because it would just add more salt to the exterior of our bodies, and would be... The salt is so corrosive on anything, including skin. I've had a little bit of chafing in between my thighs, and I just imagine swimming in the ocean and then not having fresh water to clean off would be very painful.
Probably.
The next day, at least.
Yeah.
So we're doing our part by not swimming in the ocean and not enjoying ourselves, and it's fine.
Everything is fine. Allie's life is fine right now. There's two words that sum up Allie's life. It's what and fine. But yeah, it's a fun time out here. It's my kind of style. I don't necessarily think that I want to do this for the rest of my life, to answer some of your questions, but being 31 years old, I feel like I do want to do it while I can.
Yeah.
Because all these old fucking crappy fat people, every time they see us doing something cool, they're like, oh, I wish I could do that, but I'm too old now. Or, I used to do that, but now I'm too old.
Yeah.
That kind of stuff. And so it's just like, well, there's obviously a very firm expiration date on the human body. And if this is something that I enjoy doing, this is the best time in my life to do it. So that and the fact that I'm a master Taoist, I feel like it's important for me to get in where you fit in as a big boy. Daddy Fat Sacks from Outkast says, you got to get in where you fit in, boy. So, yeah, we're of two separate minds right now, you and I, about this whole thing. I definitely don't like being sunburnt to Fook, but I've learned from it, and tomorrow will be another day of having learned from our lessons of today. And someone's mad over there.
Everyone's mad.
I learned how to say Happy New Year in Spanish at the gas station. Ano nuevo, nueve.
Año?
Nuevo.
That just means
year new. Yeah, but that's how they do their shit.
Feliz Año Nuevo.
Yeah.
Mi amigo.
I asked the guy at the Chevron how to say it. But yeah, that's about it. I don't know what time it is now. 7:39 or 6:39. Sorry. 6:39.
Oh.
Yeah, 7:39 would be fucked up. I would hate that if that was the case. So
we've got an hour.
Yeah, you're welcome. So yeah, that's the dump of the day. I think about all the people in my life, my friends, quote unquote, from Atlanta and stuff, who would do big, adventurous things with me. And definitely not everyone's cut out for it. I think you need a certain type of underlying masochism and sadism. But also, you have to have you can't, like, you remember that girl Emily from the Appalachian Trail that I talked about a little bit when you and I first met? She was someone who was also trying to get to Winding Stair Gap the same day that we did. And
I remember. I met her.
You might have, yeah.
Yeah, I definitely.
You didn't meet her with me, I don't think.
Not with you, no. But
yeah.
I did meet. She did the long trail.
She did the long trail,
yeah.
And she said she finished it by hating herself.
Yeah.
I was like, that sounds stupid. That's not the way that I go through these things. These things are sort of like, again, I feel like, if I had a broken leg or I had giardia or I was barfing or something terrible that actually made things, immeasurably worse than they already are, then I would definitely sink into a low pit. But short of illness, injury, or death, these things are just sort of like therapeutic, I think, for me. It's just like
so
life.
What is your recommendation for people who don't feel the same? Don't do it, or I think do it and learn from it, and then move on in your life with more compassion.
I wouldn't. I don't really care about what anyone else is doing. Honestly, I don't think that it's my place.
What about me? What do you think
for
I
you
should
personally?
Do? Tell me what to do.
Lol. Well, I was listening to a podcast earlier today with. You never saw Arrested Development, right? Mm-hmm. Well, there's this character on there. Her name is Maybe on the show, and she was talking about this other role that she had played in most recently when the episode was recorded, and she was like, I play a millennial who doesn't really know what they want to do with their life, typical millennial kind of shit. And I was like, maybe the feelings that you're feeling are just the fact that you're of a generation that's kind of different than mine. I was probably the last type of person coming out of my generation who could possibly prefer suffering to convenience. Because, not to say that people in your generation don't prefer suffering to convenience, but I think it's more rare now because people are more coddled and more catered to. There really is no difficulty in American life if you're a white person who has good parents and a reasonable access to money,
decent education, decent upbringing.
You can get by. So I don't know. I would say for sure. I don't. It's hard for me to imagine you getting to the foot of Amicalola and not being completely shattered by it. And I don't know what that means for you and me, and we'll figure it out soon enough, because this is only day 3, and I can already tell you're cracking at least 50% of your will.
I think also something to note is that the ECT has never held any sense of importance in my mind. It's never been a passion that I'm like, oh, I want to do that, I need to do that. it's been like, oh, this is the option that I have to suggest in order to keep us together, because you don't see any other path other than suffering.
Kind of. But
definitely, that's how I feel.
That's the way you feel.
Yeah.
But if we were both on the same page, this would be a lot of fun. That's the difference. It's like...
well, yeah, like, I mean, it's still traveling, and it's still, like, new places, and it's a sense of accomplishment at the end of the day, which I don't necessarily feel. At this point, I'm just like, this is so unnecessary to put your body through this, to put your mind through this, and apparently, obviously, my mind is very weak and takes me to very dark places when I'm in pain or struggling or anything like that. It always has. That's not something that I'm denying within myself. I know that I'm weak. I'm a product of my generation. I'm a product of 21st century America that tells you that comfort is the way to go, and you should seek the path of least resistance.
Like the Tao.
Yeah, and if you don't have to do that, if you're born into it, then you just get to flaunt it. But if you're not, it's just, I don't know, it's attainable, and that's the end goal. And to be at the point where we have nothing, like, possessions-wise, we've reached that goal of supposed nirvana, of ultimate freedom on the road, and for me, it's just really not as great as they make it out to be. Maybe in a different capacity, if I was hitchhiking, if I was, like, I don't know, anything other than what is right now, which is my biggest downfall, I think. I have the grass is greener mentality. Like, it would be so much better if I wasn't doing what I'm doing. And then I get to that point and I'm like, well, there's something better, so I should pursue that instead. That's been the trajectory of my life since my late teenage years, I'd say.
Yeah, you're sort of a tourist.
I entertain all of these so-called passions that I adopt and then act upon, and when I find out that they're not as great as I think they are, I find something else, and I completely quit on the things that I don't like.
Which isn't bad.
It's not bad, because it helps me figure out what I do actually like and what I am going to feel fulfilled and happy in. But it's not good for the mentality and perseverance in the current circumstance in which I'm like, well,
this sucks.
This sucks. Let me out.
Yeah, I mean, I think that your grass is greener thing, if you really explode that out to its, like, logical conclusion, I think the whole idea that you could find something that really satisfies you completely, I don't really believe that exists.
I don't think so either, but I think there are alternate ways of doing things and lifestyles that can be less physically taxing and less painful and boring.
I think that those
and monotonous.
They could be. I don't know. I feel like there's a fine line between that and complacency, and I think that I have a lot of examples in my life of people who just got complacent.
But do you pity them?
I don't really care about them.
Well, yeah. So no one gives a fuck. Do what makes you happy.
Yeah.
And
I just
move
don't like
on
complacency.
When it doesn't make you happy.
Yeah, I agree, but I know what makes me happy in a way that I like.
Right.
And it's this kind of stuff.
Yeah,
and
that's unfortunate.
It is unfortunate.
I feel like that will be the downfall of our legacy.
I think the most poignant example of how that has played out in this relationship was something that you said, because we used to argue about who liked the Appalachian Trail more. And there was a point where you said you love the Appalachian Trail more than me, and the emphasis there being that, like, because we used to always, or for a little bit, we would say, like, I like the Appalachian Trail more than you, or, you know, vice versa, I like it more than you do, whatever. But then there was a point where you were saying, basically, I like the Appalachian Trail more than I like you.
Yeah.
And that actually
That's what they told the Compton.
Yeah.
And your mom.
Yeah. So it's like, it's not even necessarily true that that's true. It's just unfortunate that you're not out here for the same reason that I am. And when we were on the AT and several other hikes and other adventures with the bike and everything, I think that we were on the same page with that, but I think the bike ride really started to crack into your membrane of what you can actually do and be happy with, because for sure...
Not what I can do, because I know I can,
well, yeah, you
I'm
can
physically
do it.
capable to do as much as the ultralight influencer backpacker on Instagram who's doing 30 miles a day.
But
I
you
have
don't
the
want
capacity,
to.
but I don't want to. It takes a toll on my mental health.
And physical,
and it just breaks me down to the point where I'm not enjoying it.
Right.
And
you don't have the ability to get over that, for that to be part of the process. Like, this is a process. Like, this is a series of, like, experiential checkpoints where you're like, I feel like shit for a couple hours a day, and
a couple.
Well, maybe more.
We hike for 10 hours a day.
Yeah.
We only make 19 miles.
Yeah,
it's pitiful.
I remember when I was on the Blue Ridge Parkway, the worst period of time was about a 5-hour period between noon and 5, where I had to wait for the sun to stop being directly overhead. And that part was always really hard, but I just kept going. And I guess the thing for me is, like, it's just amazing that things, on a day-by-day basis, things go from good in the morning, bad in the afternoon, and then good again at night. So you have a 2-to-1 ratio of good to bad.
Right.
And it all has to do with the movement of the Earth around the sun and the setting of the sun, because the sun really does exacerbate just how terrible everything feels and how hard everything is to get through. Because, like, it's one thing to have to go up a climb that's like 15 miles long, but it's another thing to have to do that in the middle of the day when the sun is at its hottest.
Right.
Like, that really does make you start to question
and
why...
I think that reality is the same as someone who's working a desk job, in the sense that they have a good morning and they have a bad day and they have a good evening. Like, that's just the human experience. Like, we all do things that we don't want to do.
Well...
So I don't think there's anything unique necessarily about through hiking or biking, in that there's a period of unhappiness. I think that happens to everyone no matter what.
Yeah, but having worked a desk job, I actually thought it was bad the whole time. The morning was not any worse than the afternoon, nor was the afternoon any worse than the evening.
Well, that's because that experience wasn't satisfying your deepest desires.
Yeah, I guess.
Which is to suffer and exercise and push your body.
I just feel like, no one knows how long they're going to live. Anyone could die at any moment. I often think that I'm going to die in this moment. And so it's nice to put myself through these, like, tribulations so that I feel like I'm actually... If I'm going to die, at least I was going 120 when I did, or something like that, like... It's kind of like that quote that Jake wanted to get tattooed.
You can only do that when you're driving a car, man. You
Lol.
can't do it when you're walking.
That's for sure, yeah. But when you're walking, you get a slow burn. It's literally today. It's just, you get, the suffering is compounded. So it's just, I don't really want to drift across the highway at 120 miles an hour when I've gotten hit off my motorcycle and then have to deal with all that road rash and broken bones. But feeling really beat down and just fucked up from the day, it just makes the day a little bit better in a way that is not necessarily universally understood. And I don't know why. It probably has something to do with my obsessive compulsion. Just there's like, I don't know.
Which is classified as an unhealthy mental disorder, so take that into mind.
Yeah, I mean, that's technically true, but you can't change how you are.
I am your salvation. I will help you be chill.
No, you can't. You can't help me be chill any more than I can take away your tears when you're feeling bad about what we're doing. You and I, there's a certain period, there's a certain moment when you're feeling the way you feel, and it really is not possible to feel differently. And you can have mental tricks that you do to get through things, and you can do rituals that make you feel better about the situation, but at the end of the day, you feel how you feel.
Yeah.
And so, thinking about you, I wouldn't really want to be out here by myself doing this because I don't like the idea of sleeping alone, but I feel like I'm going to have to start considering what I'm going to do because I don't think that you're going to make it. And
Thanks.
I don't know if I want you to, though, because there's a point when suffering becomes actual damage, and if you're not of the,
it's going to make me hate hiking. It's
Well-
going to make me hate athletic activities.
well, it's just like the physical and mental turmoil that goes through anyone doing something like this. It can be additive or it can be negative.
Yeah.
It can negate, it can take away, or it can
it's
add.
all building up to something.
Yeah.
In the final decision at the end of the day, to go to sleep and wake up the next morning and be like, I'm going to continue, or I need to stop because this is too hard.
Yeah, I mean, I get that, but I think you should at least get to Amicalola. And I say at least, and that's still like 1,600 miles ahead of us, at least, maybe more. 1,100 plus 2 plus 3 plus 60. So that would be 1,750.
I do really think it will be a lot different once we hit a trail in which we are not going to be on the road and have access and have the option to
Get vapes from Chevron.
But yeah,
Not necessarily
I don't
better.
know. I just don't know how much this is actually building my character and life experience, or how much it's actually damaging me.
Well, I think for you, this kind of shit is going to make it to where you're like, well, I think it'll make the easier things even easier. And I think people who would like kind of balk and retreat and not be able to rise to certain challenges in normal life, there's no way that stuff like this doesn't make you stronger when those things come up. Because this shit's so much harder than what most people do.
Yeah.
So when you're dealing with what most people do deal with,
it will seem like a treat
yeah,
because every day is a 0 day and you don't need to walk.
yeah, or bike.
Or bike. Which would be better.
I don't know though. I asked
I mean,
you
this place sucks.
what this.
The Keys.
Yeah, in a way.
But imagine this on a bike, we would be out of the Keys. The 7 Mile Bridge would take us a half hour, tops.
Not even. It's flat.
Not even.
I mean,
it was windy though. It was pretty crazy.
It was windy. Yeah, I mean, my fucking hat got blown off by the goddamn dumbass nature. And that's the thing too. Like nature.
That wasn't nature. That was a car that was going past and the wind blast.
That's true.
That brought
That's
the
true.
wind out.
Yeah, my hat was fine until like a semi went by.
Yeah.
But even still, I mean, nature is completely indifferent, and you can tell because, like, you know, life eats life from, you know, zooplankton all the way up to apex predators. It's just like there is no compassion in the animal world.
No.
Which is why I don't really care about it, because it's like, well, this is like nuts and bolts. This is 0 and 1s. This is so binary. It's like kill or be killed, dog eat dog kind of thing.
Yeah.
And humans have the capacity to rise above that, and a lot of people fail at that sort of, what would you say, like, sort of like, that elevation doesn't bring people up, unfortunately. Like, people, they do get lazy, they get complacent, they litter, they get fat, they really squander their ability to be above the terrible elements of nature, and they reduce themselves from thinking beings, sentient creatures, to just, you know, terrible creatures that don't care about anything but themselves, which is more of a natural element. So it's interesting, those who are more close to being animals are like the majority of people in the world. They're just shitty things that make things shittier for everything. And I think that this kind of exercise of suffering makes you realize that, you know, it's better to strive to be better, and most people don't.
Is this the path that creates that?
It's a path.
I'm not convinced.
Well, that's fine. I mean, you know, there are many paths. You know, Joe Rogan is fond of quoting, you know, once you understand the way broadly, you see its manifestation in all things. So you could do this with archery, you could do this with farming, you could do this with anything. But this is my particular path that I have found that I enjoy. And I have the capacity to suffer, but not inflict my suffering on other people. It does bring more compassion into my life, where I feel more apt to give money to people who need it, or to give help to people who need it. Getting that iPhone that you passed by, I saw it. I picked it up.
Pass by it. I didn't see it.
Well, that's the same thing.
Yeah.
You were so immersed in your own
self-interest.
Well, just your own experience, that you didn't even see that something here is valuable, and you know what it feels like to lose a phone. Even if you haven't lost a phone, you can imagine it.
Yeah.
And especially someone from a different country, like your whole world might get fucked up because you can't check into your Airbnb. You may not be able to get your airplane tickets. I mean, there's like a bunch of shit. It's like losing a wallet. It's very detrimental to what you're trying to do and what you need to do.
And you did a great thing by returning it.
Well, no, I'm just trying to balance the karmic scales. So it's like it's part of the Buddhistic and the Taoistic journey to, while in the midst of suffering, being burnt to fuck on a bridge that you can't escape the sun from, it's to see that phone and to say, hey, someone needs that. That's valuable to someone. I'm going to do my best to try to get it to that person, because I hope, if I'm ever in a similar situation, that one of these fucking lazy pieces of goddamn shit out here do the same for me. So it's sort of like it's an investment in my karmic future, and I'm always trying to do that. And I find that these kind of pilgrimages, which is really what it is, it's like how Muslims have to go to wherever the dumbass fuck shit stupid rock they have to go to once in their life because they're dumb as shit. There's a bunch of different examples of what this type of activity manifests itself as, and this is one that really touches me because I just enjoy exercising, because I feel like, despite the fact that I'm getting burnt and skin cancer is a real thing, I feel like for me to preserve my life, doing exercise like this all day, every day, will make me live longer. And that's ultimately what I want. I want to live as long as I possibly can. And I feel like this is a good way to do that, because I can, in the midst of trying to live as long as possible, I can possibly positively impact other people's lives. Yeah. So no one, like when I read Treehouse's book, he was like, oh, my faith in humanity was restored because, all these great people did all these great things for me. And I feel the opposite. I feel like I get to do great things for people by doing these kind of sojourns into nature.
And you care about that?
It's a highlight. I mean, I don't really care about it, but it's almost passive. Because I didn't purposefully go out and intend to find someone's phone and then return it to them. It's just like when you're out there and you're doing something that no one else is doing, you will see and you will encounter things that other people will not see and will not encounter. And then it's your choice and your decision to kind of take that upon yourself as an additional burden, which really elevates the suffering and experiential bliss of the whole point of being out here and doing this kind of thing. It's something that I can't. It's something you feel or you don't.
Yeah.
And if you don't, there's no reason to try to do it, because that's like water trying to flow upstream. It just doesn't work that way. That's not. Yeah. You're not going to get happiness out of something just because it's supposed to be good. There are many ways to the same conclusion, and for sure, this is not everyone's cup of tea.
One of the hardest ways.
Well, one of the hardest ways. I mean, I would think that people who but those like fucking dumbasses in South America who like literally crucify themselves to be like closer to Christ, like that's a little bit harder than this, I think. I don't want to have nails driven through my hands, but I'll take the time to return someone's phone. Sure, why not? I mean, I have like less than a liter of water and no good snacks, and I'm sunburnt, and I can feel the vibrations of the UV light fucking up my genetics so that I get fucking cancer in like 1 year or something. But putting all that aside, I can do something that at least distracts me from that consideration, which that's the thing. It's like how many times I've thought about myself having a sudden death out here doing something like this, or the Appalachian Trail or the bike ride, is lessened than the times when I'm more comfortable, because I have more time to focus on myself. So this really is a vacation from myself, and I enjoy that because I spend so much time thinking about myself, as everyone does, and as a human, a sentient being, it's nice to have relief from that, because I think that's really the the center point and the what's that thing? What's the epicenter? The epicenter of all suffering comes from being consumed by yourself.
Yeah.
Which is sort of what Buddha was trying to get away from when he did his shit, being dumb by the fucking river with the lotus leaves and shit.
Which I understand, but when you take it to more of a macro level, it's like, well, we are just blips in the history of the universe.
Right.
And for someone like me who has gone through
so much.
Relatively, like, I wouldn't classify it as like a loss of religion, but definitely some sort of divorce from this life path that I was supposedly on. And being at this point now, it's like we're here for such a short amount of time. No one cares about what you do as an individual because they're so self-concerned with their own lives.
I hope that's true tonight.
Then who really cares what you're doing to make yourself happy? I mean, obviously, unless it's like harmful to people around you, like pedophilia or serial killers or stuff like that, then like,
you hear that, priests?
Who really cares your distinct path to happiness? No one does.
No.
And we flaunt it on Instagram and we prove how good we are, and like, but no one actually cares. So why not do what actually makes you happy, because you're not responsible to anyone?
Well, maybe that'll be the thing that is good about all this stuff. Maybe you will actually get to that point because you went so far below what made you happy. When you get to where you are happy, you'll be happier than you expect.
Yeah, no, I think so that's definitely true.
You're welcome. You're welcome.
I'll be like, wow, at least I'm not walking across the 7 Mile Bridge in the Florida Keys and my skin is being seared off by the fucking UV rays of the sun.
And you look at my Instagram and you'll see that I'm still out there finding Pokemon cards and making a funny post.
I'll be like, oh, he's happy, whatever.
Yeah, whatever.
No,
kiss me, baby.
It doesn't matter.
No, nothing matters, no one matters. But everyone thinks.
But also, when you have something like love between two people like we do, it adds an additional element, at least for me, emotionally. Like, I feel a sense of responsibility and duty to you, especially someone who, like you, who has provided me with so much in the past.
I do it freely.
I know.
I'm not trying to.
I know, because you're so great and you don't.
I don't view it like that.
Care about the finances that have gone into getting us to this point and supporting me to this point. But I mean, I don't feel like I have to hike to be with you, but at the same time I do.
At this point you do.
And I think that love is worth it, and that's why I'm not hitchhiking to mainland Florida to get an airplane to go back to Pennsylvania with my family right now. It's because I want to be with you, and I'm willing to go through a certain degree of suffering to do that, but you can't expect me to be happy about it. And that's unfortunate, because you thought I would be, and you thought that I would be this person that is willing to be subject to suffering at any point and be happy about it.
Yeah, well, I thought we had that in common, but my
but
presumption...
I think we do to a certain degree.
Yeah, I mean, we obviously
But you can overdo it.
Mm-hmm.
You can do these athletic activities year after year after year, and it starts to wear on someone like me who is more soft and emotional and fearful and fucked up and and younger.
Yeah.
Someone who's never had a life path before and assumes that this is the only way to go because it's the only way that you can stay with the person you're actually happy with. And that brings it to so much deeper, emotional, life-changing level in which you have to go through the suffering in order to be with the person you love.
That's fucked up, though.
It is fucked up. It's so hard to do.
I wouldn't... I mean, I've done that in the past with my other 2 relationships, but...
And I know you say it's not worth it, but you...
It's definitely not.
But you understand my relationship history, and...
Yeah, and just people with relationships in general.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, people... I mean... wife abusers stay with their husband, and I mean, it's...
Well, that's more of a safety issue, more than likely, but...
Well, do you feel safe right now?
I mean, the cops aren't here yet, so we're doing alright.
Yeah, well, it's not 9 o'clock yet.
Maybe I'll throw up tonight from sun poisoning, and then I won't feel safe and healthy, but...
Lol.
We'll see.
I've got anti-diarrheas, so...
That's not gonna help with sun poisoning.
Well, you'll at least stop pooping. Yeah, I mean...
But these are the things that go through my head every minute of every day that we're walking. Well, not up to this point. Today was like the
pinnacle.
The pinnacle. Day 3. And I am constantly going through an existential crisis. And it's not a fun place to be. I'm sure it's forming me into a better human somehow. And I'm not necessarily grateful for it, because I think that not taking the options to be more happy are necessarily out of the question or illogical. I think it would be fine and I would be happy with it.
Yeah.
But for now, it's my only option, and it's some weird type of, not even spiritual journey, but just like life path journey that I have to take right now.
Yeah.
Because there's no other option. I don't have any great ideas of what to do with my life, so.
Well, that's where I think believing in fate is a little bit more digestible. Because if you're someone like you who has the grass is greener mentality, and you're like thinking that you could have an out for all of this suffering, if you believed in fate, or at least entertain the idea. Oops.
Sorry.
Drop the phone. If you entertain the idea of fate, then you're only where you could be, and there's no other option. So it's like, well, straight line path, which is like what a trail is. So
well, yeah,
it takes that agency and that feeling that you're...
If you're not happy in that situation and you have some sort of emotional outburst, I don't think that could be something that should be blamed on you. Not that it is, you don't do that in any way, but for myself and the way that I perceive your perception of me.
Hold on, I'm going to make another clip.